In 2009, an Ohio company named Diebold redesigned the Hope Diamond case. The new case makes it much easier to see the diamond while still being able to protect the gem. The Hope Diamond is located in the National Museum of Natural History. Before there was the Smithsonian National Museum of Natural History, the Smithsonian only had one institute. Founded in 1846, the Smithsonian is the world's largest museum and research complex. It now has 19 museums and galleries, the National Zoological Park, and 9 research facilities. The Smithsonian's work promotes understanding of world cultures and represents our nation's rich heritage, art from across the globe, and difference of natural and cultural world. Education is at the core of their mission, from informal education opportunities to lesson plans for teachers and professional development. In the beginning, the Smithsonian wasn't as impressive, but thanks to Spencer F. Baird, the first curator of the National Museum and second secretary of the Smithsonian, we now have the National Museum of the United States. The museum's early collections included the artifacts and specimens from exploring expeditions and surveys of the American West. On January 30th, 1903, the U.S. Congress gave funds to the Smithsonian Institution for a new museum based upon the initial study by William Henry Holmes, curator of anthropology at the National Museum. By August 11th, 1909, the staff had begun to occupy the building and move the national collections, which now totaled to almost 10 million objects. On March 17th, 1910, the museum opened to the public, although construction of the building was not complete until June 20th, 1911. The building of the National Museum of Natural History was a castle before it was a museum. The collections were initially housed in the institution's first building, the Smithsonian Institution Building or Castle, which was completed in 1855. In 1881, the national collections were moved to the newly constructed National Museum Building, now the Arts and Industries Building. But within 2 years, even this new building was overflowing with collections, and the Smithsonian management requested another building from the U.S. Congress. Legislation for the new building finally passed in 1902, providing for a granite structure across the National Mall from the Smithsonian Castle. The local architectural firm Hornblower and Marshall was selected to design the building, but the Smithsonian was unhappy with the architect's fancy design for the entrance. They wanted something simpler and more serious. Charles Fulton McKim was brought in to develop a new solution. McKim had been helping transform Washington from a red brick city to a white marble city. The museum is made of granite from quarries in Milford, Massachusetts, Bethel, Vermont, Mount Airy, North Carolina, and Woodstock, Maryland. The roof is covered with slate shingles. Initially, the museum housed culture, history, geology, and national history collections, totaling over 10 million objects. The museum has many interesting exhibits and artifacts. The museum is dedicated to inspiring curiosity, discovery, and learning about the natural world through its research collections, exhibits, and education outreach programs. At the center of the museum's exhibits and research programs are its expertly documented collections, more than 126 million natural science specimens and cultural artifacts, just to name a few of their museum holdings. The collections include 30 million insects carefully pinned into tiny boxes, 4.5 million plants pressed onto sheets of paper, 7 million fish in liquid-filled jars, and 2 million cultural artifacts. Besides what's in the museum, there are over 3.5 million specimens out on loan each year. Research activities are organized into 7 departments, and a number of U.S. government agencies contribute to the museum's strength, including the Department of the Interior, the Department of Agriculture, the Department of Commerce, and the Department of Defense. One of the most famous exhibits is in the geological area. The Smithsonian is home to the 45.52-carat Hope Diamond, the world's largest deep blue diamond. The gem has a long and mysterious past. Scholars believe that King Louis XIV of France bought the Hope Diamond in 1668. After King Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette attempted to flee France in 1791 during the French Revolution, the diamond was turned over to the French government. The next year it was stolen. It wasn't until 1812 in London that the diamond appeared again. Evidence indicated it was the same stone, there was no way to be completely sure. It passed through several owners before a wealthy American woman named Miss Evelyn Walsh McLean brought it to the United States. She added its current setting. It's now surrounded by 16 white diamonds and hangs on the chain of 45 diamonds. After Miss Walsh McLean died, jeweler Henry Winston bought the diamond and donated it to the Smithsonian. And how did he send it? Winston simply placed the priceless diamond in a plain brown paper wrapping and sent it by registered first-class mail. He said, "It's the safest way to mail gems. I've sent gems all over the world that way." The Smithsonian is still interested in protecting the Hope Diamond. That is why they hired a North Canton, Ohio company to protect it. My grandpa is one of the few to help build the case, so when I see the case, I know his name is on the inside.